Enough. I'd like to call the Village of Weston Planning Commission to order. Number 2, Valerie, could you do roll call, please?
Yes, Maloney,
Here?
Cronin,
Here.
Gao,
Did you call in? No?
What did
Okay.
you call, Valerie?
I don't see him on the call.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, Gert,
Here?
Jordan,
Here?
Minell,
Here?
and White.
Here. Number 3, approve minutes from the March 8th, 2021 Special Joint Plan Commission and Public Works and Utility Committee meeting.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve by Garnt,
Second.
second by Manel. Anything on the discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 4, approve minutes from the March 8th, 2021 regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Cronin,
Second.
second by White. Anything on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Communications, Valerie, any communications? Or who's monitoring tonight? Nothing? Emily, anything? Anything written? No, nothing written? This is an opportunity for citizens to be heard. Opportunity for citizens to be heard.
And there's 4 people on Zoom beside the staff that's on Zoom. but-
Okay, thank you. Hearing none, let's move forward. Let's see, 6 is done. 7, unfinished business, discussion and possible recommendation to the VOT Board of Trustees on the petition to vacate an unimproved portion of the Dominica Street right-of-way laying south of Mary Lane. Administrator Donner?
Okay, so, I think with the last discussions we had the board, the attempt to get quitclaim deed or any kind of acknowledgement from Gold Key Investments was unsuccessful, so our route with them was to file a motion or file a document with the court to ask for a declaratory judgment to declare that that is in fact dedicated right of way or not. Before doing that, Attorney Edie felt we should just get Joe Bushka's acknowledgement one way or the other. As I have explained, it seems that for some reason, the whole discussion with him broke down. For various reasons, I don't know if it had to do with having discussions himself with Gold Key Investments or Stan Bonleski. Or there was also I guess a misunderstanding that he had all of his property in trust, in which case he could have signed for it himself. Since it wasn't in trust, he had to either put it in trust or have his wife sign along with him, and that created some delay here. So at this point, Joe is saying he has no motivation to do anything. So I guess our question now is, do we want to do anything? I guess the option would be then to file the motion with the court for declaratory judgment on both property, or both owners for that outlot one of block 5, which is at the southwest corner of the plat.
On both corners.
Yeah, we do it for the Gold Key property and for the Bushka property. And right now, Joe really doesn't have access to this 35-acre tract, which I explained to him today. He said, well, he can give himself easement. I said, well, he really can't do that if you're gonna do improvement on that 35 acres, because he needs 35 or 33 feet of frontage, I believe, on a public street. So, unfortunately, this thing's taking a turn I didn't expect, I guess. So anyway, that's where we
I
are.
see the recommendation, to have the property owner deal with the original developer. And that would be Bileski? Okay, so if they so choose to do that, what would Stan be able to do? How would Stan rectify that?
That would be something for the court. I mean, there could be, basically, the house could be, the garage could be moved to the other side. I have no idea.
Mhm.
This has been one of those cases where we got involved, it should have been, the decision should have been made 3 years ago. This has been going on since 2018. At the last meeting, you guys asked, bring this back.
Well,
We
we,
thought we had a route, we
mhm,
don't,
mhm.
so it's
Well,
on
we
the
need it.
agenda.
We made our best effort, I guess, and I, to be honest, our own attorney kind of questioned why we went to this road, because we felt we probably went over and above, in the effort to do this.
okay. I'm just questioning what Stan could do at this point.
That's
Yeah.
up to the courts. So
Okay.
this is one of those cases where it should have been between him and his builder. I mean, if the village, I have no idea. We do have, we have insurance for those kind of things, errors and omissions. I don't know. I mean, the plans that we had, they were at the right setback. So Al approved it at that setback.
But it got built
It got
by,
built wrong,
in error,
in error.
never found out until, I think he was, the current owners,
Trying to sell.
the only owners were trying to sell,
Right,
and
So-
it became,
right.
so now he can't. Okay. Thoughts? Lauren, I'm sorry.
I still think we need to make sure that we have other access, even before we take action on Dominica Street. And I think, I recall some of the meetings where we wanted it to go to circuit court to get was it declaratory judgment? Is that correct terminology?
We were gonna do that with Bombleski or Old Key Investments. I didn't expect that it would be needed for the Bushka.
So as far as I recall, we had decided to do that. If I'm mistaken, someone correct me. I don't think we should back off. I think we need to get this straightened out, not necessarily for this Dominica Street, which could be settled. I'm concerned about access on those two ends of the street to that southern property. Even if they sell that property, the next owner is gonna have the same issue.
But I guess my thought, real quick, after reading this weekend is it our issue? Is it the landowner's issue or is it our issue? Gary?
I was firm with it when Stan was here for the meeting.
What?
Stan built the house. Stan did the subdivision. Stan knew that he had setbacks. Stan should have stood up and he built the building. It's Stan's responsibility, my opinion, okay, from what I see it and what's said. But the only other question I have is when we go to those other lots, Lauren, I thought we had some issues with them paying taxes on that. They've been paying taxes for X amount of years on that.
He's been paying taxes on the outlaw, one of them. On one, he's not been paying it.
So is there some liability for the village on that?
I suppose that would be something maybe that the court would decide. I think that's maybe where Stan balked. I guess he maybe felt he should be compensated.
Maybe that's has there been, what does the attorney say? Has there been an offer to say, here, Stan, we'll pay you back for your taxes? And now you deed it back over to us like it should have been right up front.
Well,
What kind of dollars are we talking?
I think that's something for council to negotiate.
but we had.
No, I meant taxes, past taxes.
I think it was somewhere in the range of $8,000 maybe.
But is it that much?
It's been over 20 years. Almost 20 years.
I was gonna say, is it that little?
Yeah, but that's not on just our lot. There's 3 other lots or whatever too that.
We're not even talking about the other lots.
Oh, I know, but that was, my understanding
It's a
was,
lot more if we had those other properties involved. So,
I mean, if we could facilitate something, I would be okay with the village helping facilitate something to make the problem go away so that 35 acres in the back or 40 acres in the back can be accessed by those points. I just don't understand why.
Well, don't sound like either one of the parties
No.
so what is right now the village, in my
Yeah.
my eyes, I don't even feel that should have been any of our responsibility or the village's responsibility up front. The builder put the building where it was.
Right. No, I understand.
You know,
I'm
so
just,
that's my opinion with it, but yeah, I completely agree. The village stepped in and said, okay, we'll try to be the peacemaker in the middle. And now both parties are saying, Stan's saying, well, I want my money, or I paid taxes, so it's really mine. Well, no, it was supposed to be dedicated for access. Then you should have caught it on your tax bill, number one. Somebody shouldn't have paid it, and then could have been fixed right away. And the other issue is I lost my train of thought.
If we pay.
That's all right.
If I may.
You just got back, it's all right.
I pay one property owner, we should pay the other one then.
Well, who's the other property owner?
The point is, it seems like there's hands out.
He's been paying taxes as well?
Well, he
On his lot, but
thinks he bought 33 feet of the outlot that should have been dedicated to as right of way.
Well, that's where I was going with
But how
this.
did
Now, no, but Joe, but he also, that's where my second thought was, now he's expecting the village to build him a road to his access, like, what we were saying.
I told him today that it's one thing to get it dedicated, but you know, we could still special assess to improve the road.
That'll be another piece.
Steve?
I don't understand how he feels that he bought that land. When the street itself, that was part of that plat, was actually not part of what he bought from Mitch King. So why would Bushka say that he's entitled?
Because I think he feels he's got access to it through that 33 feet, is what he's
He
presuming.
wanted access to his corner lot there, the small lot, it's a single family lot that's at the southwest corner of off the plat, it was land owned by King, right there, that blue highlighted.
Mitch?
So the east 33 feet of that was actually part of outlot 1
Right,
of the plat.
but he never paid any money to us for that, did he?
To
The village.
Did he pay anything to King at the time of the transfer? I think he did, actually, I'm not sure.
King didn't own it.
It was dedicated, right?
King did own that. He owned everything
At 33 feet.
west of that property, that 40 line right there that goes down the center line of Connie Lane to the north, or Mary Lane, I don't know which one is it. Connie Lane,
That's Connie.
going north. The Kings owned everything west of that 40 line. They had to sign off on the plat.
Lauren?
I'm a little confused now, so normally our road right of ways are 66 feet, so we only have 33 feet right now, is that correct, according to the argument on this?
According to the way the land is currently represented, yes. According to the way the plat was laid out, that outlot had 66 feet on the
Lauren,
north,
if you.
and it was wider on the
All right, he
south.
sees it right here too.
I can see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I still don't think, as far as I can recall and see on the unfinished business, it says about the denial of the request to vacate Dominica Street. I still don't think we should vacate Dominica Street.
Oh, that's why the recommendation is to move to deny.
And
Why is it our issue?
I go to public hearing.
We beat this around for 3 years.
Okay, I move to recommend the denial of the request to vacate Dominica Street.
I second.
Second. Sorry.
Motion by White, second by Cronin. Any more in the discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And we're gonna notice Joe?
So, yeah, I guess we feel we should go forward and get the declaratory judgment. We should just do it on any of the lots that are involved in that. So that would be Joe's part as well as.
I'm sorry, the middle one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Joe, in the center. So, yeah, Dominica, I mean.
So Dominica will just release.
That's what we're vacating. We're not gonna do anything. So we're not gonna
Your
vacate.
recommendation to the board
Is
is
to
to
vacate.
deny.
Yep, deny. Yep, the vacate. Got
So
it.
it'll move forward that way.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
Keith, in your opinion, was that 33 acres that was King's sold to Joel, was there a road right away easement in there?
That 33 feet that we're talking about?
Yeah.
That was part of the outlot as it was created in the subdivision. It ends up being shown now as part of that lot that he owns. Now, I guess as Steve points out though, it does say that the 33 feet was reserved for a street, so I don't know, I mean, again, this may be why we'd wanna have the declaratory judgment from the court.
So that's,
My understanding is that Kings didn't own that. And it was included by the title company when they prepared the warranty deed. It was included in there,
and it shouldn't have been.
although, correct, and although,
Their errors and omissions should cover it.
or they could re-record the deed as a scrivener's error.
So anyway, when we first started discussing this with Joe, he was of the opinion to just quit claiming and be done with it, but for whatever reason, that's changed now over time, so.
So when do you think you'll be filing for a declaratory judgment?
If we wanna go forward with it, I'll just advise Matt, we'll be meeting with him tomorrow on another matter. And, And we'll, I both Joe Bushka and Stan, that's what we're gonna do.
So my opinion on it, Mark, is that the property owner by Dominican, that's not really the village's issue.
Yep, he talks to Stan. Yep. Yep, we're there. All right, moving on to new business, number 8. Location change, Hetty Yeager Memorial Bench at Kennedy Park. My first question on this is, did the family request a location or just a place, the place for the park?
Excuse me, who was that guy that
That was
just?
Joe.
That was Joe. That was Joe? Oh, man, I should recognize the owner.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, he just whipped his paper, pissed off.
Okay.
Understandable.
Yeah.
For 3 years and
Well, I've talked to him an awful lot over the years, and I'm kind of surprised that he went to put his hand up or something during it. I feel bad. So I'll give him a buzz as long, we'll contact him, but I'll call him too. Okay,
The family requested a different location within the park.
right, so they wanted to be over on that road, right, kind of there by that
Yeah, they
ballpark?
moved
Okay,
it closer.
Get us
to
quote?
Diamond.
okay. So now,
So it's just bringing back so that you're aware and there's a record of the change in case somebody brings it up.
right, are we letting them know that we want to move it to a different diamond?
They moved it, the family did.
Oh, I'm sorry,
The family
misunderstood.
decided to move it.
Ah,
So then
gotcha,
Sean brought it back, just so that you
gotcha,
guys
so that we know it got moved.
And then there's a record of it. If somebody says, why isn't it where it was approved to go, then you know.
Are we hearing all this? Yep, okay.
Wasn't there some problem with where it was at the first location? In reading the report, it talked about, at least that's what I was.
I think the issue was, some kind of a formal request and, having, apparently a former board said, no, we're not doing any of this. And, Sean would like to have it come to Sean and have some kind of a request form so that they could kind of, right? Am I kind of getting a gist of that a little bit?
No, I have no problem with that, and I
I don't
have no problem with where they're gonna put it, so I'm
Yep.
gonna move to acknowledge the new location of the Hetty Yeager Memorial Bench.
Motion to move by White, second by Garnt. Anything on the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 9, project number 202-10109, Stratford sign on behalf of Tommy's Express Car Wash, requesting a special exception to allow a larger monument sign located only 5 feet from the lot line within the B2. Is the only word, are we trying to signify something there? Located 5 feet from the lot line, only 5 feet
Right.
from the lot line within the B2 Highway Business Zoning District at 1611 Schofield Avenue, PIN number 192-2808-183-0005.
Yeah, so Stratford Sign on behalf of Tommy's Express Car Wash has submitted this special exception. So someone has hit the Tommy Wash sign and they want to replace it. Instead of just replacing it as is, which they're would be allowed to do, they're requesting a larger and taller sign, hence my only, and I realize now, the sign is only 5 feet from the lot line, but it's 15 feet high is what this proposed sign is going to be. Code requires that signs be set back equal to their height, so theoretically, this should be 15 feet from the lot line. But the way the parking lot is
It's just-
there, they're requesting the special exception. It also is slightly larger than what is allowed. This would approximately be 86 square feet instead of the 64 that's permitted by that zoning district. So this is just a special exception for you guys to take a look at it.
Prior to the crash, I had conversations with the owner or one of the owners. And the difference of the sign ordinances between Wausau and Weston. And then also being so low and being a monument sign that the snow was constantly having to be cleared away from there so that you could actually see the sign in the wintertime, for several months.
Forward for the special exception last year, and we told them about it, and they just never went through with it.
Right, and I told him that, and he
Yeah,
was fine
they
talking to you
knew.
guys, yep, he knew. They were gonna do it right away and then they must have backed
Well,
off.
then it got hit.
Well,
I
then
think they
it's
just
probably
waited.
obvious. Well, there was a request, that would we pay for the first sign, and I said, no, probably not, so. So this will be a nice, I mean, you can't miss the place, it's beautiful.
And
But-
Public Works has looked at the sign, they don't see a vision
An
issue.
issue? Okay. Your pleasure? Lauren, I'm sorry.
I'll move to approve the special exception request number 202101109, allowing a 15-foot larger monument sign that is 5 feet from the lot.
Second.
Motion by White, second by Garnt. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 11, project 202-101. I just wanted to see if I'd get your attention back there. Number 10, project number 202-10040, Tommy Dock site plan, new building at 8608 Progress Way. Small attempt at humor.
Alright, so Tommy Docks has submitted a site plan for a new warehousing and assembly facility, right there on, the Mashuda property. As this is village-owned property, it does require plan commission to be the site plan approval authority. As a little history, there is a TIF agreement with the property. The proposed site plan is a 26,000 square foot building for assembly warehousing. They're planning a small section of the building for retail, but mostly warehousing. Manufacturing patio is proposed with a dock for showcasing the equipment, merchandise. We just haven't received plans for that at the moment. There's a future expansion plan to the west of the property. Staff has taken a look at the plan and it does meet zoning code. They have requested a couple waivers as well for this project. So minus those waivers, everything else meets the zoning code. So they're requesting a reduction of elevated material from 35% to 32.7% along Progress Way, which with the recent change with site plan approval authority can go down to 0. They're also requesting to not have the dumpsters located within a 4-sided enclosure. They are proposing a 6-foot high by 12-foot long screening fence to shield the dumpsters from the Progress Way side. And then they're also asking to extend the timing of the installation of landscaping to break it into a 2-phased installation. So around the parking lot and the building would be phase 1, and the landscaping in the general yard and along the pond would be phase 2. Proposed completion by 2023 for phase 2. Now, a development agreement has already been approved for Tommy Dock, so this would have to go back to village board.
No, it doesn't. The development agreement already addresses what happens if his assessed value doesn't get to what it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's the developer's
Well, I was thinking the landscaping would have
risk,
to
I
go
guess,
back
okay.
into the development agreement
Okay, I'm sorry.
for timing of that. We can look at that
Okay.
as something.
But that's not gonna hold up construction.
It would not.
No. Thank you, Emily.
If it did, it would be by next week,
next Monday.
Thank
next
you.
Monday, so.
What's your pleasure?
Okay, well, nobody else wants to speak up. I move to approve the site plan for Tommy Docks at 8608 Progress Way with the following waivers with changes to be made in the development agreement where applicable. Reduce the elevated materials from 35% to 32.7% along Progress Way. Not require the dumpsters to be enclosed on all 4 sides. And the last one was delay completion of the landscaping or extend the time to install landscaping to be in 2 phases.
Can I ask a question prior to your motion?
Only when it gets seconded.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by
All
Jordan.
your questions, sir.
So we have a motion on the floor by White and a second by Jordan. Question, Gart?
Landscaping. Is landscaping supposed to be, you give me an idea what's included in landscaping here?
So landscaping in our code is broken down into 4 categories. So there's building foundation, hard surface, street trees, and green space.
But where's the landscaping plan?
It's in the packet. It did include both phases. Let's find the pages.
Quite an extensive list of the trees.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Why are we going all the way around the pond? What's the requirement?
It's the green space requirement.
So,
So green space for what? That pond sat undeveloped for, I mean, I don't understand why the village owned it for all these years and didn't do anything with it.
no, they didn't.
It all
own it for a
gets,
year.
yeah, we didn't own it for,
Well, here nor there, I
but
guess.
it gets
should've
to
owned
the
it.
time of development. So all this stuff kicks in at time of development. So that's why it's required right now.
Okay, so the pond, I can see the building, which all our codes have the building for landscaping, but the pond, I mean, let's just go across the highway to Trigby.
From the forest,
Farm the Forest,
from the forest.
okay. He's got a huge empty lot there and we're not requiring any landscaping there.
You guys waived it.
He's using
That
a
whole
lot of
empty lot,
existing,
we would make him landscape that
it is landscaped, he's using a lot of the existing trees.
He left the trees in there.
up on the front by the highway.
No,
The rest is
But it
vacant.
all, you can use existing trees, there's just nothing there,
So
so
the existing.
this is
on-
what
Yeah.
his landscaper
Proposed.
proposed. So there's lots of different options,
So
and
sorry,
the bigger trees that you use or trees
are worth more.
count for more.
Right.
This is a unique situation because it's a unique situation.
Yes.
I mean, we don't normally have this much land.
I guess, can I, and that's why I was trying to get Lauren to hold off on that, my question there. So I'm gonna ask, the applicant or maybe representative for applicant, can you guys communicate on this landscaping costs or fees or what we're, I mean, to build a building?
Sure.
What's that?
He hasn't asked for a waiver.
Hey, Mark.
That's true. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
So, just a point here. Lauren just said he has not asked for a waiver.
I think,
correct, I gave him the code and this, and all I was asked was a two-phase.
So if you're asking for a two-phase and no waiver, it's actually a moot point. So you don't have to speak if you don't want to.
So, so there isn't confusion, my goal was to just do what I submitted in that email, which was around the building, parking lot area.
I think Owen's gotta he's gotta say his name and address or whatever.
Okay, Owen Jones, 7003 Executive Court, Weston.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. So my proposal would
Put it in the
be,
notes that I screwed up. Okay, so.
just, there's no
For the record,
confusion.
can we make sure that we know that Joel left his jacket here too when he stormed out?
Okay, all right, thank you. Are you serious? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So my intent was to do just this, as you see, so I just quickly edited that on Photoshop, which encompasses phase one and around the building. Obviously, if there's phase two in the future, that would, create more landscaping at that time, but as far as what's required, my intention was not to do it in two phases, but to just do this. And certainly I'm going to do things with the pond. I have a fountain and some other things that I'm going to do with it, but not something that I want to be required of me within a certain time frame, if that makes sense.
So I was working with the project manager and that's where I got the two phases, just
Got it.
from where staff is coming from.
Okay,
That's
sure.
where I was getting that from.
Lauren?
Because of the confusion, I wish to withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Lauren.
And.
Somebody needs to withdraw their second.
Only you have to, or does Joe too?
The second,
Joel.
whoever seconded also as well.
Second.
Withdraw.
All right, withdrawn.
Okay, now we're back to square one.
So I'll ask that question is why don't you wanna do that, Owen?
Well, I'd like to have the freedom to kind of make the pond my own over the next few years, and I don't wanna have a timeline and be pigeonholed with certain plants and layout, before I even know what it's going to become. So, obviously our intent was to buy the pond to add a wow factor, not just to the facility, but, also do R&D and have a method of presenting docks. So we certainly want it to look really good. Just don't want that to be on a timeline with certain plants and decided before we've even, before even a shovel has been lifted.
Is there what's the cost impact?
Yeah, well, the original plan, landscaping wise was gonna be just under 200,000. And it was almost 30 something thousand in plants.
What is it, when you say original, can you explain?
So the plan with both phases that was presented.
Okay,
I don't know that I have costs on the updated one. But I could estimate it being less than half that.
So it's been sitting there for lots of years. How much better will it look when you take it over? As it is right now?
A lot better.
Well, I mean, your building is beautiful if, the concepts we've seen and the landscaping around that.
Yeah.
So I think that's just kind of my thought. We've been looking at this for 30 years or whatever is factual. And as long as it gets better than how it's looked for 30 years.
Yeah, yeah, we're not trying to spare expense really on the look of the facility.
Is there anything that's comparable to this? That anything we've done in the last 10, 15 years that would be required, something like this?
It's a unique situation. We
Yeah,
don't
I
have
know, it's
anything
so
with the
unique, it's
pond.
just so wild.
I mean, there's probably the hospital area with their, they have
Okay, okay.
they have environmental
Yep.
area that they put trails through and
Yeah.
got landscaping.
Okay, that's a good point, yep. Okay.
So is there any way that this can be viewed as two parcels?
You have to divide it. It's one parcel.
Before we combine the park.
No, you'd have to leave it.
Well, I'm throwing an option out there, I'm saying, can we treat it differently, or can we say, you know, ultimately, I understand your objective with it, because we communicated with each other about what we would wanna do to jazz up
It's
the.
probably best to ask for a waiver. Anything that you do with dividing off
Right,
parcels.
right. You don't wanna-
Understood,
or anything like
understood.
That is going to cause problems with their
I
construction.
would agree, it's,
I mean, to be clear, on the pond side of things, I mean, I wanna get rid of the berm around it and dress up the shoreline and add a fountain, maybe multiple. Obviously, we'll have a dock on it, you know, I mean, you certainly wanna make it look
Mhm.
good.
and, you know, with planning, even saying that it's such a unique piece of property, I think waiver is the right thing too.
You're still probably gonna wanna talk with Michael at the time you do things around the berm, just because there are some things with stormwater that you don't wanna affect. You don't wanna affect Gary's property, and whoever is going to
Yeah.
purchase
Yeah.
south of you, so.
Spring fed, obviously.
Yeah, that's water
It
table.
was a borrow pit when it's.
Yep.
Yes, I was borrowing it for there. Ultimately, really, the only, our two properties should butt against, right, Jennifer? So I mean, anything.
Well, he's gonna have development.
Yeah, that's
No.
Gary's property to the
Oh, right, next to it
There
is
will be no
Gary's.
development.
Okay.
So I guess I don't know what the proper procedure is, but I don't see the extra, my opinion, I don't see the extra $100,000 putting on the builder or have the landscape completely.
So in the zoning code, there is waivers for impracticality, such as for stormwater management areas, or that full compliance would interfere or compete, would cause the landscaping to interfere or compete, would be the relevant waivers for this situation.
Is the word unique in there?
There's not the word unique.
I know, just wondering.
We can relook at this code
Okay.
in the next couple
So
months.
is this something that we can waive tonight, or does Owen need to request this?
I think it should be a formal request, Mr. Chair.
I would like to see an updated worksheet because
Okay.
the one I have for the plan is everything.
Can we approve the waiver? I mean, just because our paperwork isn't up.
You can do a condition on an updated landscaping plan and worksheet being
This has to
submitted.
go to the board next week anyway. I would put it
Right.
on as an advisory with your recommendations, so if they can update it by
Oh,
then we would have record of it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I just don't want it to not, us get record of it.
yeah, right.
If we,
And you could do that without having to put it out there, Jen, for,
well, this is just site plan review, so, I
Okay.
mean, with anything you can add, we're just giving you recommendations based off of what we know. I mean, sometimes things come up at these meetings that we don't know, so you have the ability as part of the site plan approval on this to make your recommendation to the board on their project.
Okay,
so.
I made my motion already and it got rescinded, so.
take the second one if you want.
No, I like someone else to.
I can make a motion, go ahead. Go ahead.
I move to approve the site plan for Tommy Docks at 8608 Progress Rate with the following waivers. Reduce the elevated material from 35% to 32.7% along Progress Way. Not require the dumpsters to be enclosed on all four sides. And we will also allow a updated landscaping plan to be submitted in the next week ahead of the BOT
With the
meeting.
landscaping just around the building?
Reduced landscaping around the pond, thank you.
have a motion on the floor by Cronin,
Second.
second by Garnt. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 11, project number 202-10115, new municipal center site plan, new building at 4707 Camp Phillips Road.
Seconds. I got lost in the packet. All right. So, Planning and Development Department has received the site plan for the proposed municipal center at 4707 Camp Phillips. It's been reviewed. As this is a very large project, it's being brought forward before Plan Commission for review and recommendation to the board. Approximately a 96,000 square foot building for new municipal center offices, the public works garage, and the parks department, along with accessory building, salt shed in the rear of the property. Building committee did meet this past Thursday, last week, and did recommend. They looked at the bids for the project and did recommend to move forward to the board for a bid. So this would all be contingent on the board's approval on that bid. So not saying that you guys recommending this would move forward. It's just moving it ahead, because if the board approves, we'd have to wait the following month to do the review for this. So just kind of
So-
tightening up timelines.
All right, tightening up tight lines, all right? So, a private project comes in, and it's in exactly the same form as this is right now. Would we,
Yeah,
Would this
because we
be-
would, they're always going out for bids when we see this.
Okay,
And
so-
we wouldn't know anything.
okay, so a new,
They just asked us for site plan approval, so that's
Okay.
all we're doing is
Okay.
this meets site plan. So lots of things don't ever, I mean,
Get-
I had a Kentucky Fried Chicken back in 2006 that never got built, so.
but they did the site plan.
They did the site plan,
Okay, so
so,
that Holiday did the site plan, right?
Holiday never went
That-
through
that far?
fully.
All right, I just,
But,
I just want us to be just as consistent as everybody else in our community. And
Yeah,
our business
so when
community,
somebody
so-
wants to build something, they submit for
Same process.
site plan approval,
Okay,
so.
I'm gonna move to recommend the approval of the new municipal center site plan at 4707 Camp Phillips Road as presented to the board of trustees.
motion by White. Looking for a second?
Really?
So I just have to explain this too. You have to have some type of a reason to deny it too. There's nothing per code right now to deny it.
Meets all those
So,
requirements.
right.
Okay, so
So technically too, the way that the code is written, staff can do the approvals on it. So we're bringing it through for you guys to see. But you can't just deny something because you don't like it, I guess is my point I'm trying
Okay.
to say.
So Jen, what's your opinion? I'm gonna ask that question. What's your opinion? How are you creating that opinion that we don't like it all of a sudden?
Well,
I'm just.
I guess that just no way.
Let's not go there for just a second. So, Keith and I had a discussion this morning. Steve brought up something at the building committee last week. I asked about the footage tonight, and now I see it right here at 96,432. But we do have a document that is signed, by our former president and by, the architect. And I need to just understand what this means, that it's, at 87,160 square feet. So that's our document that shows that the project consists of 87,160 square feet, new municipal. Does this not apply to this? So if this is the document that we're supposedly working on through this whole procedure, this is a signed contract with the architect. How can we approve a 96,432 square foot building when we signed a contract for 87,160 square feet? I just need to
Less
know.
than 87,000 square feet, so the,
What's
I
that?
guess he said he didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't end up with something less than 87, I guess that was the minimum that he came up with a preliminary design. I did have a discussion with the architect before.
But, so you read minimum in here?
I'm sorry?
Do you see minimum? I mean,
No,
am I not understanding this right? I mean, because you said at least it ain't less than that, but it can go more? Or what do you mean?
well, this is based on a preliminary design.
Okay,
He prepared a final design, which he also says incorporates the economies of, are you getting a, you know, what would be a standard size, say, 20-foot beam, and you could design it for less, but you're still gonna pay for the 20-foot beam when you put it in the project. And I guess if you wanna have a meeting with the architect, we could certainly talk about that.
well,
There were details, I think, to still be finished before this was
I didn't know
done.
what Steve was asking last Thursday night, or whatever night, Thursday night, was it? Yes. And I've got a copy of this now. We talked just a teeny bit about it today. And, so how, since February, since this was signed, and now we're at 96, who took it to 96 from 87,160? So you're saying this is just an estimate number? I've tried to read this as best I can and as smart as I am to understand how this works, and I just wanna be doing the right thing. I thought this was something that wasn't relevant to what we're doing right now, but then when I look at the design phase milestone dates, this is exactly what's going on, except that we paused it when COVID started. And then we picked it back up, and then we put a building committee under, and I know that slowed it down a little bit. But February 4th was the bids due, and we actually had bids due in the middle of March. So we're not that far off.
Not that
So,
far off. no.
and on top of that, we put a building committee in the middle of it, because when this was signed, we did not have a building committee. So I'm just asking questions here, you know, on the thought of not liking it versus can we actually approve something that's not part of this
Well,
document?
that would, I think, be the board's decision.
Okay,
So what we got as the planning and development department was just like anybody else.
Mhm.
We got plans submitted to us and we reviewed them. So they meet code. I didn't read that, I'm sorry, that would not be my thing to read. It was submitted. And we took it through our normal procedures like we would everything else. So from our standpoint, it meets code. And it should be,
and then okay,
them the
so
green light.
we have to have a reason.
if the board,
Yep, and we have to have a reason to or not put it up on the floor and then approve it. And then staff can actually approve this, you said?
well, technically, because there isn't a rezone or a conditional use permit, like if this was a normal project, it would have just got like Joe's project, went just through staff.
Oh,
So, like you
Okay.
guys didn't even know unless you looked at Valerie's, you know, the sheet there, that they're building their corporate office
So-
across the street, because that was
Okay.
reviewed by staff. Right now, the only way that you guys have to technically see it is if it's a project that's getting money through the TIF district, or there's a rezone or conditional use. Otherwise, we just review it to code, and if there's there's issues, then that's when it comes to you. So
Okay.
we brought this because it's a village project
okay.
before you. So
So
it meets code from our standpoint.
if we get a second and then go through the discussion, we go through the approval and denial, and it goes to 4-2, then it still can go to staff and you can approve it, right?
Well, we just
So
still move
if-
on to the board.
If we don't move it forward tonight, or we try to move it and it fails, we're still,
I just
we're
don't
looking for
know from
a
a
reason.
legal standpoint,
Right.
if there's anything that you can deny off of it, cause you have
Mm-hmm.
to, like, so say you denied something off of Owen's building.
I think I've seen Owen-
I would have said the same thing.
Yeah,
What is your standing for?
It's been brought in.
denying it?
I'm not exaggerating. I think I've seen Owen's building 6 times in meetings. I mean, I don't know how long he's had it here, but I mean, I looked at this again today and I said,
Well, that's a different situation. You guys saw it because it was coming through with a development agreement too.
right, but I also know that there's gonna be landscaping issues and other things, whether it's part of developer's agreement or not. I'm just saying that it seems like that got spread out over a tremendous amount of time and this gets done in one day because it's the village and.
Not necessarily, I mean, when they
Mr. Chairman,
come
point of order.
to,
Yep,
they're a package. I mean, Owens, the site plan just came to you.
let's stay on the issue of the municipal building. So
Chairman, point of order, if there is no second, the motion fails.
I'm calling for a second one more time. Motion fails.
So for me, Jen,
It goes to the board with that you guys did not give a recommendation.
okay,
So they can still approve it.
and that's fine, and so just to help you understand where I'm coming from, I don't intend to challenge whether or not the staff reviewed this. The only issue I had with it is that, as I started to look through it, I really haven't taken the time to do that. And I guess the reason that I didn't take the time to do it is because it hasn't even been approved by the board that we're actually going to build this yet. So to me, it's been and I appreciate that you guys have to take the time to have something to present and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that I'm not serious about reviewing it because I think you're getting cart before the horse. Only because I mean, I do take these things seriously and look at them. You know, I don't want to be here just to be a rubber stamp. I mean, that's part of the reason that we joined this was to be able to have some dialogue with you guys and understand what's going on. And the only reason that I'm not in favor of this at this particular moment is because I really have not taken the time to look through it for that reason.
Well, and some of it, from my standpoint, I mean, the board is going to be spending quite a bit of money and you would want something that could be actually built. So I guess that's from the staff standpoint, we reviewed it, it would be no different than,
Preliminary site plan.
I guess, yeah. So I guess if you want to treat it like that, they have to have something because everybody needs to see something tangible. I mean, to talk about it, a lot of people can't visualize things. So, I mean,
Well,
we have the complete set of plans because that's what they've done in order to get the bids, so.
So this failure tonight will not elongate anything. We won't have to meet again because the board can approve it.
I have to go and look to see.
Okay.
It would go to the board, I believe, talking about.
And planning
things
doesn't
on-
have to meet again. If they can approve this.
Unless
just
they
without-
send it back.
Without
for
the
some
recommendation of the
reason,
planning, yeah. I mean, just like if we approved it unanimously, the board could say no.
No.
but They have, yeah, they always could
Okay.
say no.
Yeah.
I have to look to see.
Or
there's-
yes if we deny,
There's
right?
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a certain percentage of and I have to look to see if that's something outside of just like a rezone. So say that happens in a rezone case. And you guys recommend something and the board says, no, I don't want to rezone that. They have to have a certain percentage. It's almost like a super majority kind of, in order to do that. They can't just have a straight quorum, a regular. So they'd have to have more members. So I just have to look into that. I don't know if it applies or not for this type of a situation.
Okay.
It's in my almost 18 years, it's never happened, so.
Okay. So 11 is
Moving right along.
dead. And then moving along to 12, review of proposed amendments to chapter 94 zoning and chapter 74 subdivision regulations by the creation of a planned development district.
So this is the planned, basically, when you hear about it, it's the planned unit development. You hear people call PUDs.
What do you call it?
PUD.
PUD.
PUD,
Oh,
Plan
like a
development.
planned unit development.
oh, PUD. Okay,
So
okay.
most zoning codes have them. We used to have something called an overlay plan development. That's how Weston Marketplace was done, Renaissance was done that way. When the 2015 code came into play, that got taken out. So what planned unit developments are for is for us to be able to look at a project. The plan commission can look at it for a unique situation like Weston Marketplace. At that point, we didn't have something that allowed the buildings to be placed the way that they were. So it allows for unique situations, like basically they have to go through some more hoops. So they have to actually do like, almost like a master plan for their development. And then it can be amended if something changes, but it always has to come back through the plan commission.
Mhm.
So they get marked separately on the zoning map so that you know that that's why it is what it is. We had something similar to that in the code already, which was with the N neighborhood district. So this would actually be changing some things and creating this special zoning district category instead. And then those two would fall under that special district. We also made some changes to the neighborhood district to make it a little bit easier for the type of development that we probably would have here, because we don't see that much of a mixed use with the commercial. We looked at Tappy's subdivision kind of doing this. It allows it to do that, to have the different types of residential, and it could even incorporate commercial or institutional in that neighborhood district. So there's some tweaks in there too. So I don't know how much you want me to go through this. I tried to kind of break them out by articles on what's changing in them.
That was very helpful.
Some of this is helping that situation with the townhomes too, that style. Because the way that the chart was set up, it did not work for that, to allow those lot sizes that you would normally see where you have like the row homes.
Smaller lots,
Mhm.
zero lot,
This
almost like
helps
zero
with
lot
that
lines.
too.
More narrow.
I think it offers more flexibility than, yeah, as far as in reading through it. As far as developers, what can I put in there? It- As I said, the Weston Marketplace was a good example of a planned unit development, although it wasn't called that at the time.
Yeah, the Renaissance was done that way, that's why they're closer to the street. It just allows us to do unique developments without having to change the entire code, which could adjust it in areas where you might not want to see that.
So you don't have to follow the requirements of certain setbacks then, Jen, is that?
So it's whatever
Yeah,
the
right.
plan commission would, so basically they have to go through and they have to, it's a more intense process. So they actually have to go through almost like a rezoning process for it to get that overlay on top. And then there's actually a general development plan that gets attached with it, so.
Steve also has quite a bit of that, don't they?
Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's just a way to do some unique things that you would normally not see. So this also has something to where if we ever had somebody who wanted to do like higher story buildings, where that could happen. So it just gives you.
What's your pleasure?
There's a lot of data here.
What's that?
I said there's a lot of data.
So this is just introducing it to you. It has to go through public hearing. So this would be, it would come back next month as a public hearing, so you have time to go through it. But we didn't wanna schedule the public hearing if you
I
guys
think
weren't on the mindset.
right now, we're just looking for staff to schedule the public hearing.
Yeah, that's all.
In May, and I do have some 19, 18, 17. I'm leaving the 16th and coming back the 21st.
This would be the 12th of May is the plan commission meeting. So this is just introducing it.
Question.
Go ahead.
If we move to direct staff to push this forward to public hearing, we can still make changes to it.
Yeah, so it has to go through the whole public hearing process, and we had to start somewhere. I didn't wanna just spring it on you with a public hearing. So
Mr. Chairman,
we're introducing it and then it'll go to public hearing.
if you choose the links, it's highlighted all the changes. And
Yep.
to be honest, I didn't read the whole thing. I read and found all the changes and read the changes. Much easier than reading 325 pages.
That's why I tried to summarize in those sections. So so if you go, it says right in the middle, right underneath background in that section, proposed changes to chapter 94, zoning by article, full code with markup available online via that link. So if you
Works
click
really
that
well.
link, and it's already available for the entire world to see, it's on the website. I didn't wanna, it's the entire zoning code, so I did not want to put that in your packet,
Yeah, it's another 300.
just because it's huge and
Oh, it's easy read.
Yeah, so that's why I put the link. And then I went through and basically gave you a synopsis of what the changes are. So that's what's in by each section. There will also be some required changes to, the subdivision ordinance that also requires a public hearing. So they would be done at the same time. Those are in your packet. They were just very minor. They're just basically referencing that the plan unit or the plan development. will exist.
Consistency in references, so they're talking about the same thing from the two chapters.
Right.
Okay. Are we good? So we're still looking for a motion?
Move to direct staff to schedule the public hearing in May 2021 for chapter 74 and chapter 95 as presented.
Moved by White,
Correction, chapter 94.
They say 74 and 94.
I'll second.
second by Jordan. Any more on the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Staff reports, acknowledge Village of Weston 2021 Housing Assessment Report.
So some of you were here when we actually approved that last year. The RPC helped us with that. It's a requirement for us because we're over 10,000 people. So we have to update this annually. So the RPC helped us with this for our 2021 report. So this would be all 2020 data. And then we also still have to do an update to the, what is it, the housing
Fee assessment.
fee
reports.
assessment, but our fees haven't changed, so that one's pretty minor. But we just wanted you to be aware that that happened.
Your pleasure.
I move to acknowledge.
Move to
the
acknowledge,
assessment report.
move to acknowledge by Cronin,
Second.
second by Garn. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 14, acknowledge report regarding March 2021 staff approved certified survey maps and site plans.
I move to acknowledge.
Move to acknowledge by White,
Second?
second by Jordan. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 15, acknowledge report regarding March 2021 building permits.
Acknowledge.
Acknowledged by Garnt,
I'll second that.
second by Manel. Anything on the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 16, miscellaneous, project updates, continued discussion of needed amendments to chapter 94 zoning.
I should have taken that out.
That's okay. Well, I know, but we told you to keep
I
it
know.
on there, yeah,
It's above them.
okay.
The park impact needs assessment is basically done, but we'll bring
Okay.
that back.
Mhm.
I believe the Schofield Avenue and the Weston Avenue is more important right now.
Okay,
I did get both of those today. So the Schofield Avenue is updated online. I did that right before I came in here.
mhm,
And the Weston Avenue corridor I will put up tomorrow. And I'll send those out to all of you also to start reviewing them. We are looking at either May 24th, which is Monday. It's a Monday, or
Good.
the 27th, which
Oh,
is a
okay.
Thursday.
Good.
Valerie is going to contact Weston Lanes to see if they have availability for us for either of those 2 evenings. I'm thinking a 5 o'clock and a 7 o'clock public hearing. So basically it gives us 2 hours with each of the corridors. So,
okay,
and that will be a joint meeting of the Plan Commission and the board for sure. And potentially Public Works, because they're involved.
So all three have to be in attendance there?
Yeah, so what we'll do, instead of having them, we've done this with other things that are getting put into the comprehensive plan and approved. Instead of having multi-public hearings on it, like one, we've always done like one at the Plan Commission level, and then it has to have one at the board level in order to be adopted as part of the comprehensive plan. So we tend to join them together so that everyone's hearing the same thing. And then the public only has to come once.
okay. E, proposed amendments to chapter 14, building and dressing regulations.
I am still working on that. Steve had some questions and I have not been able to get,
Cronin or
No,
Minell?
Minell.
Okay,
so I have not been able to meet with Scott and Roman.
okay.
Because it's been pretty busy out there.
And then amendments to chapter 94, article 13 signs.
Yeah, so we still need to do that, just so that you're aware of. The big thing with that would be the political signs.
Okay.
And making sure that we meet that Supreme Court ruling,
Okay,
because we're kind of halfway there, but definitely tackling that.
What was that ruling, Jen? What is,
So we can't look at sign content. It can be based off of size. So the issue is when it comes to political signs, and we got a lot of flack this year, especially and really political signs are only guided in residential areas, not in commercial areas. So we would have to look at them like it's a commercial sign. So technically somebody should be taking out a temporary sign permit and only having it out for 30 days. So basically what happens is most communities everywhere just don't pay attention to them because everyone takes them down within a certain period of time, so that it doesn't become an issue. The last few years, it has become an issue. I think they first started, I found something back in 2012, the city of Wausau, there was an article when Walker's, when they had that his recall election, somebody had complained that they had him in a commercial area. So that's kind of where I had read that technically we should be permitting them. So we can't look at content. So, in a residential area, somebody could have one and we can do size. So they really shouldn't have ginormous ones in their yard. They should have more of the small yard signs like somebody would do there. So it's just a touchy issue and we kind of are caught in the middle no matter what we do. So after this election, we need to work with the attorney on making sure that it is proper.
the flag that I received was primarily afterwards. In fact,
Yeah, it was after.
I got none ahead of time.
No,
they want,
I mean, it was in seconds, yeah.
and there's really nothing guiding that,
Mhm.
like we don't have anything unless, we were able to move some of them because of them being in the road right of way. And that's how we've always handled it, because it's a touchy subject, it's a political subject. So-
And I responded to a lot of them that, 4 years ago, we did the same thing as we are today.
Yeah.
So that, they just generally just drifted down. And,
They'll tend
so-
to move them back,
Right.
like Scott and Roman will go out, or like the police department will get complaints. And they'll try to move them or contact if we know who they are, but
Okay.
yeah, so it's just a kind of a touchy situation.
Let's get in touch here. Number 17, next meeting date, Monday, May 10th, 2021, 6 PM regular meeting. And 18, remarks from staff. Emily,
All good.
Keith?
I think everyone's probably aware Tom Chartrand is no longer with the village, so I'll just kind of announcing that, I suppose. And
What happened there?
We have not necessarily moved forward on the
He resigned.
recruiting yet.
Okay. Jennifer?
I did not have anything additional, I'll just
Okay.
keep you, I'll let you know when I do finally get that public hearing set, so that you can get it on your calendars.
Okay. Cory?
I'm good.
All right.
Jen, we
Am
were,
I saying your last name right?
Gert,
Oh, Gert.
I don't care.
Gert, like that?
Whatever.
Okay.
How about Gary?
Sure.
No, I'm gonna do last names.
Jen, there was it 14? What chapter was it that you sent out to us to review?
Homework.
Was item E.
Yeah, you,
16.
Yeah, chapter 14.
yeah, you guys got it a couple months
Yeah,
ago.
you maybe send a red line, similar to
I
what,
can't redline it, so that's the other issue.
It's an old version, old text versus new, and they are not compatible as far
where's
as.
Nathan Crow?
Yeah, no, the whole thing is, so if I did redline, it.
We can do
So
anything.
that's some of the holdup too, is because I needed to actually update, I had to go in and update the PUD district, and then we were working on getting Weston Avenue done. So I have to actually go in and hand redline all that stuff, so it's gonna take a little bit of time. And then I still do need to meet with Scott and Roman because Steve had some questions about numbers of permits and costs. And I have not been able to have that meeting with them yet. We, just as so you're aware, we have an issue with one of the mobile home parks that they've been busy in there, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will get it to you
Okay.
prior to.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure, so we don't, I mean.
Yeah, if I gave it to
Time.
you, it would be everything redlined, so you would not see the difference anyway, so I
It's a
have to.
replacement
So
of.
it's a working document yet. I mean, we're still working on it. We don't have, I'm just trying to figure out.
It'll
I have
come
to
to you
set some time
before it
aside.
goes, well, that doesn't need a public hearing, so it'll come to you and you can do what you want, you'll have it in advance.
I have a suggestion, Mr. Garrett, is that you can, if you got the time, download the current chapter 14 and actually have to read through it and then you get the next one, because there's so many changes in chapter 14, the new version, it's gonna be almost impossible to tie it together. At least from what you described and what I've seen.
Parts of it will be, in the building section.
Probably parts of it will be eliminating, there'll be some new stuff put in place, I imagine.
Right, yeah, and I have to go do it by hand, so.
I personally really like that when we have our state code updates come through. They're.
Right, and that's how I always do it, it was a formatting change, so it doesn't hold it. Yeah, it doesn't hold it normally, and going forward, I'm hoping that it'll be like that, because we just went to, Unicode, which is an online, it's being housed out online. So I'll have to learn how to do that, but, we always do strike out on it so that you can see what it is and that.
I just have the document, I printed the document to read through it,
Yeah,
but then after our meeting,
it was totally revamped, so then when that happens, it like, the whole thing is all red, so it might still be all red when I go through and do it for you, but, you'll have it in advance.
okay, thank you.
Can I just make a suggestion? If it's a lot to can we break it up into a couple meetings maybe? Do it.
Yeah, you can do what you want with it. It's actually got, I think there's different sections. So part of it is the addressing.
Okay.
And then it's the building section. There's two sections in the building, I think. Electrical and then the UDC.
Getting back on remarks, several weeks ago, I got, one of the commission members called me and said, we need to keep remarks to remarks. But since he was inside the discussion tonight, apparently not. So.
That's me.
Meinel,
No remark.
nothing? Did you save some time for your remarks?
No, I think I've had
You
too
had
much to say,
okay.
right?
Jordan?
I appreciate staff reviewing the water supply plan and approving it. I see it was on a list this month of stuff that you guys did. I didn't see the Red Lobster on there though.
Oh, you wrecked my remarks. I was saving my time for Jim because that got all the way up to Merrill and bounced around up there for a while that we're
I
getting.
got emails and phone calls when I was in Florida.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. What is going on with Red? I'm like, oh my God.
Pretty cool, pretty
April
cool.
1st.
Yeah, it was perfect timing to have the land starting to be scraped off. Because at first I thought, oh, you're kidding me, right? But then I thought, okay, county market, and then Steve, I think I talked to you and then that came up, so anyway. Very nice. And I have no remarks other than looking for a motion to adjourn. By Gert, by Cronin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried, 7:10, not bad, not bad. We had an opportunity for 7. Blew it.